Okay, let's do another video. As you saw by the title of today's video, I'm going to talk about the deeper mind, the collective unconscious, that we have this older mind, which is not a psyche, which is not really something that you learn, not a memory, not something you've learned throughout your life like the personal unconscious, but it is something much older, wider, that belongs to all of humanity. And it is you get that with when you're born. It comes with you as a package, you know, and it simmers underneath your everyday life, and it really is the way your whole life is structured around it, but you don't know, and it really shows up in dreams, what we call big dreams, which I will share with you a little later. I've chosen perhaps 3 dreams, maybe 4, and in them I will describe the image of the tree, the world tree, or the cosmic tree, the cosmic axis, as it repeats itself throughout. It repeats itself in the mind of people that have shared the dreams with me, or in my dreams and so on. But first, I will read you something that I wrote a few years ago regarding this, yes? Okay. So, the goal of all spirituality is to reunite the personal with the collective level of your psyche. Why? Even though you are daily meditating, chanting and burning incense, have shaved your head and eat nothing but avocado, you and the world are still deeper than than ever in horrible mess, the crisis of consciousness, I hear you ask. Because you have managed to empty your mind, go beyond the ego to the threshold, as so many middle-aged male gurus tell you to do. But you don't go any deeper, beyond the veil of time to the timeless mystery, to the other or the collective unconscious. Because you don't know that this sitting in silence and imagining what not isn't the ultimate aim of your meditation. You don't know that there is this other living in your psyche, the center, with whom to reconnect. Exactly. You don't know that there is this deeper mind that we all have. This, what Jung called collective unconscious. We call it soul. We call it feminine. Deep feminine, divine feminine, that's the collective unconscious. You see, the soul, the image of that eternal woman, the psyche, is there, and she's the one that initiates many in the past into her mysteries. And the way that happens is usually they climb up perhaps stairs or a tree, and then they find her there, and then she initiates them to the mystery of who you really are and what we really all are, divine. Yeah, so I'll share with you that in a moment, but let's keep reading a little bit more. The ultimate aim of all religions, and indeed of all spiritual practice, isn't merely to sit quietly. Okay, I already read this. Now, how do you know when that happens? To bring back its silenced voice of to the community, the soul on the everyday level of consciousness. So to bring back this, the message. You know, the prophets. That's what they have. The whole message. That's the whole message. Of the prophets. The prophets are not there to tell you to predict future, but to bring this message that there is this deeper psyche, this divine, this soul, this divine feminine, collective unconscious, and so that you can reunite with that, you can make that part of your everyday life. And that's wholeness. Wholeness isn't merely just sitting there, and imagining whatnot, or chanting, or rising your vibration, as so many people seem to think. That's not it. You need to recover or to make contact with that deeper part of your mind, and then bring that into everyday life. For that, you need to read mythology. You need to read depth psychology. I started with reading Tom Chetwynd's If you read my book, Where We Dream the Single Dream, I go into the story how it all happened to me. It happened, friends gave me a book. I'm going away present when I was traveling out to Scandinavia because I had a dream to go there. A book called The Dictionary of Symbols by Tom Chetwynd, and it was full of mythology and symbols and Jung and things of that nature. And I didn't know what it meant when I got it. But it eventually, slowly, over the years of study, it came to me that this is what it is, the deeper level, the collective unconscious. This is what I'm supposed to be looking at. And my dreams showed me that as well. Yeah, I shared with you so many dreams. Okay, wait just a moment. I have to let Boris the Morris out because he's curious. He's ready to go outside. Okay. So the dreams have showed that to me, that this is what I'm going to be doing, because I'm creative. It was always there in my art. That's the image of the collective unconscious. That's her, the feminine. That's when I speak of the feminine, that's what I mean. You see? That's what I mean by the feminine. She is the soul, the divinity, the deeper level, the universal mind, sometimes called the upper level of the collective mind. Yeah. Okay. So I'll keep reading. So now, how do you know that to bring back the silence voice to the community, the soul? On the everyday level of consciousness, the personal unconscious or ego and its ambitions speaks in everyday language such as, don't drive this way, there's a traffic blockage ahead. Or perhaps you were wondering about having a healthier diet, and answer might be eat more vegetable, less meat. You know, the everyday things that to do with your own or looking after your body, because that's what really is. That's what we do on the personal level, is just simply because the body needs attention 24/7. That's what we're preoccupied with, surviving really. So survival instincts, which we call animal instincts. Now, on the deeper level of your psyche, the mythological or collective level of all of humanity, because we all share this. There's no such thing as this childish ideas of the chosen people and the rest are damned, or the idea of the exceptionalism in the US, for instance. That is also a very childish idea. You know, we all have to use the only model that is viable in the world is and everyone has to live like that, is the one presented in the US. That, you know, the Americans are the exceptional people and the rest have to live like them. That's a terrible childish idea, because it forgets, we have forgotten that underneath all this there are no other people. There is this deeper psyche, we all share in it equally, everyone is born with it. So we're like plants on the surface, we all appear different, but underneath we are all rooted in the same ground. So there are no others, there are no superior people, there are no chosen people. This is the oneness of humanity. There's just one human race, and our country is Earth. That's the really important thing. I'll keep touching my screen because there's some app that wants to it wants to shut itself off, or it's not working. Anyway, now on the deeper level of the psyche, the mythological collective level of all of humanity, that, as I said, the soul speaks in its own mythological language, an archetypal or pictorial language, which you will need to learn before you can understand what has been communicated to you. I have been telling this. How many years have I been talking about this? This mythopoetic communication mainly comes through in your archetypal dreams, or people call them the big dreams. Mystic poetry, spontaneous painting, sculpting, indeed through any creative skills you have, one it might say, there is no need to feel unenlightened all along. This is when you have made contact with your inner voice, with the soul. Just drink the water of life. There's one image, there's one archetype, water of life. Open your heart and push the limits. As I'm always here at the sacred threshold, there's another symbol, where the eternal fire burns. There's another symbol, internal fire. In the shadow and the light, shadow and light is especially another archetypal symbol. As your mystic vehicle, there's another symbol, archetypal symbol, mystic vehicle, your intuition. Your trustworthy feminine intuition, there you go. Your source of timeless fruit of wisdom, there's another archetypal symbol there. From tree of life, as well, of course the tree of life, as well as daily advice. I am your true partner in life. These are just my words. This is not something that I dreamt, but this is something I wrote in my mystic poetry. Yeah. So now I'm going to give you an example of Brian Swim, he's a scientist or cosmologist, as a public speaker, and he's always caught up in the science and so on, and so his rational mind is a lot stronger than his intuitive mind, because what we're talking about here, the deeper mind, is your intuitive mind. Like I said to you so many times, that the brain is divided into two halves. You got your intuitive half and your rational half, and the two have to speak to each other. Not one or the other has to be superior. Yeah, the one that is superior at the moment in our community, in society, is the rational mind, which means we have completely forgotten about our intuitive mind. The intuitive mind is the older one. This is the one that I'm talking about, the archetypal, the collective unconscious, the feminine. Yeah. So this is Brian Swim's example of his own vision. In the words of Brian Swim and his archetypal vision of the eternal flame as the fire burning in our soul, exactly, in all things from the beginning of time. So this is Brian's words. I had an amazing experience with this revelatory science. When I was back in New York, I was with my son. We were near a small creek, and he was climbing from this big rock. I was just sitting there waiting for him to climb down, relaxed. When in that moment what I have been learning intellectually became alive experientially. Suddenly it was as if the rock became molten, and it was as if my son became molten, and even all of the leaves, the forest, all of them became inflamed. I mean, they remain just the way they were in a certain sense, but at the same time, for just one moment, I got a sense of how the rock, my son, the leaves, all of it was suffused with fire, the fire from the beginning of time. So he had this huge vision of this eternal flame, the eternity. Flame is another symbol of the spirit, of the divine, the spirit that infuses everything, the energy consciousness sometimes called, that supports the universe and enlivens all life. You, me, everything is within it, or is enlivened by it. Is it? Yeah, like the what's it called? Like the I'm thinking of Indra, the god, the Hindu god, and I've forgotten the name, but everything is like fractals. Everything is reflected in everything. The tiniest part is the whole, and it's reflected, and this is reflected in everything, like holograms. Yeah. Okay, so this is an example that I gave from Daniel Schmidt from the movie. You might have seen this movie, the Samadhi, I think it's called, or Inner Worlds, Outer Worlds. That's what I'm thinking of. The documentary, the famous now documentary, Inner Worlds, Outer Worlds. The true crisis in our world is not social, political, or economic. Our crisis is the crisis of consciousness. An inability to directly experience our true nature, an inability to recognize this nature in everyone and in all things. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to give you a few... what are we going for time? Okay. Now I'm going to give you a few dreams of people, just ordinary people, that have this archetypal, just to show you that this is real, that this is not something that I've come up with or someone else like Jung or Joseph Campbell or Anne Baring or any one of those people that speak about this, the deeper level of our psyche, the collective unconscious. This comes up in people's dreams, but because we don't understand these symbols, such as the tree or the flame or the water, especially the fresh water, we don't understand what they mean. We discard these dreams as nothing, as not important. So in this first dream, dreamer. So I'm going to give you like 3 dreams with the example of the tree, because the tree repeats itself in all cultures. That's why I've chosen the tree. So you've got the tree in Nordic cultures, the Yggdrasil, right? The main tree, the world tree, the axis, the cosmic axis. At the top of the tree are the gods, and in the middle is the Midgard, are the humans, and below is the dragon, and so on. Yeah. And in, for instance, in ancient Greek culture, in classic Greek, the tree is associated with Zeus, with the king of the gods, and Zeus's oracle was at Dodona, and the tree that was related to this oracle and to Zeus, to the one to speak to communicating with the gods, was the oak tree, old, huge, gnarled branches, yeah, and for instance, in ancient Egypt, we have the tree there as well, because in all cultures, in all mythologies, you have the tree, in all traditions, and in Egypt, the tree is associated with the lady of the tree, with the goddess. When the souls of the dead are on the way to afterlife, they come up to this. They come up on the way that they find this tree, and in the tree, in the branches, is the goddess. And sometimes she pours out her water to refresh the soul from a jug, and sometimes she pours the water out of her breasts. So there's the image of the feminine, of the spirit, of the soul, helping you on the way to afterlife by drinking the water. And drinking the water and the tree are the same thing, is trusting your intuition. You're drinking and you follow the trace. Like I said to you, like I shared to you with the dream, when I went into the cave and the big tree was in the cave, and I had the lady, the feminine show, gave me water to drink, and she said, drink, because this is where many men of old found their gold. This is it. And she spoke in poetry. So this is your intuition. Yeah? So this is the dream. This is the first dream I'll share with you. So the dreamer is standing in front of a tree. The tree was perhaps described as a mid-sized tree, but it was glowing like a gold tree, like a tree in autumn, glowing with light, golden light. And in those leaves, in the tree that's glowing with light, with golden light, was a golden serpent in the tree, in the branches. And below the tree was a lion, young lion. And the dreamer went up to the lion, embraced the lion, and the lion transformed into a boy, into a small child. And the dreamer and the voice said, "This child is 1 year old." The words to that effect, and one meaning one, being one. You see, that was the rebirth of the inner self, of the self for the dreamer. So there's the tree. And this is a big archetypal dream, because you've got the tree, you've got the gold, you've got the light, you've got the snake, the serpent, the energy. What we're talking about here is energy, your libido, your sexual energy, raised above the animal instincts. That is shown by the lion. The lion changes from energy on the level of animal, which is if it's dangerous, it's on the level of survival instincts. Yeah, to being transformed into human, being humanized. You could say transform from lust to love. Yeah. Another dream that shows a similar thing is the dream. It would be another big archetypal dream. The dreamer is standing in front of a bird bath which is silver or metal or made out of silver. and there's the water inside the bird bath. It's about it's about 1.5 meters tall or something. And inside this water, inside this bird bath, are 2 bees, a male and a female. And these 2 bees mate. And out of mating of these 2 bees is born a bluebird. See? Out of this is born bluebird, the spirit, the soul is born. And that's when the dreamer became very creative. In that area, next to the bird bath, was a tree, a green tree or a palm tree, evergreen tree. So there's another dream with the tree, with the center, with the union of the opposites, and there's the intuition, born the creativity, reborn in your inner self. Yeah. One more dream. One more dream is a dreamer's walking through a landscape, like a desert landscape, or perhaps a backyard sort of landscape in Australia, where it's not exactly desert. You've got bushes all around. Anyway, she comes up to a tree, to a bush, and the bush is on fire in blue flame. This is exactly the same tree, where the same bush which Moses experienced on the mountain, when he was speaking to God, or the God was speaking to Moses through the bush. Moses, Moses, and he turns around and says, "Here I am." Remember that in Old Testament? It's exactly the same tree. And the tree that the dreamer saw with the golden serpent is exactly the same tree under which Buddha sat, the Bodhi tree, and received his enlightenment. It's exactly the same tree on which Odin was hung up before he received the gift of the runes. And then he said, one thing led to another thing, one word led to another word, one thing led to another thing. And he became creative, intuitive. It activates your intuition. Yeah? There are your 3 dreams that I'm going to give you an example. The tree, why is the tree a symbol of the spirit of the soul? of the union of the collective and the collective unconscious and your personal unconscious? Because the tree, its upper half, its branches are in this visible world, right? And its invisible half is below the surface, in the underworld. It exists in both realities at the same time. That's why. And that's union of your personal unconscious and the collective unconscious. This is the most important part of your spirituality. Without this, you cannot fulfill your life destiny. Without knowing that you are both, you have this mind, the personal mind and the collective mind. You cannot fulfill your life destiny of knowing who you really are. That there is this divine part, the collective unconscious is the divine part, the feminine in your mind, in your deeper mind, the wider. You cannot fulfill your destiny because you don't know our oneness. Because when you have these dreams and you start to study, or you have someone explain them, interpret them to you, and you can understand, and it can be shown to you that your dream and the dream of the Bushman Kalahari, or the mythology of the ancient Greeks and the ancient Egyptians and the current religions, whether this is the Old Testament or Buddhism, the Buddha sat under the tree, or indeed Hinduism, it's based exactly on the same story of finding that deeper level of your psyche through which you can reach through the tree, for instance, if you're climbing the tree to the upper level of the collective mind. I'll read you one more thing that I found recently. Years and years ago, but I'll read you. This is from Jung's The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious. I'm sure many of you know this book very well, but he's describing what are we going for time? Okay, we've got time, so I can read you this. He's interpreting a fairy tale. of a swineherd that had to climb a tree, world tree, to rescue a princess. This is what it is. You climb to the upper level of the collective, to your collective level of your collective mind, and there you recover your soul, your divine part. Okay. So, this young swineherd who climbs from the animal level up to the top of the giant world tree, and there in the upper world of light discovers his captured anima. When he means anima, he means soul. The high-born princess symbolizes the essence of consciousness, rising from almost bestial regions of lofty to a lofty perch within a broad outlook, which is a singularly appropriate image for the enlightenment of the conscious horizon. Once the masculine consciousness has attained this height, it comes face to face with the feminine counterpart. See, that's where the feminine is. That's what I'm talking about all the time in all my videos and on my posts. The anima. She is a personification of the unconscious. That's it. You see, that's the whole purpose of your, whether you're male or whether you're female. On the collective level, the feminine is the personification of the unconscious, of the collective unconscious. Yeah? Okay, so I think I prattled on long enough, so this will be it for today. I hope that was helpful, and thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.